What just happened in Dallas is nothing short of shocking, and no, that's not clickbait. Jerry Jones, the longtime owner and face of the Dallas Cowboys, just dropped a verbal bombshell that's got the entire Cowboys fanbase, NFL media, and even some players in complete disbelief. At the center of this explosive controversy? None other than Pro Bowl cornerback Trevon Diggs. The man who once led the NFL in interceptions and was hailed as one of the brightest young stars in the league is now in the middle of a highly public and messy confrontation with the very man who signed his checks. If you've been following the Cowboys for any amount of time, you know Jerry Jones is no stranger to bold moves and even bolder words, but what he said about Trevon Diggs in a recent press conference was a direct shot that some are calling uncalled for while others are praising it as much-needed accountability. So here's the deal, Trevon Diggs is coming off a tough stretch of injuries. After bursting onto the scene in 2021 with 11 interceptions and becoming a fan favorite, things started to go downhill physically. In 2023, he tore his ACL in a practice session and missed nearly the entire season. The Cowboys, despite the injury, showed confidence in Diggs and rewarded him with a massive contract extension, 5 years, nearly $100 million. It was seen as a long-term investment in a cornerstone defensive player. But the goodwill started fading when Diggs didn't spend as much time at team facilities during his recovery as the Cowboys expected. According to multiple team sources and from what Jerry said himself, Diggs was often absent from the team's rehab program at the facility in Frisco, choosing instead to do most of his recovery work privately, reportedly in Florida. Now, normally, a player rehabbing elsewhere wouldn't be that big of a deal, especially for a veteran who's communicating regularly with the team. But in this case, it turns out there was a clause in Diggs' contract, a participation clause that required him to attend a certain percentage of off-season activities, including workouts and rehabilitation sessions at team facilities, or else risk losing part of his salary. And this is where things get messy. Jerry Jones, during a press conference, revealed that the Cowboys were enforcing that clause and docking Diggs a whopping $500,000 from his 2025 salary. That alone would have been headline news, but what really got people talking was what Jerry said about Diggs. In front of media members and cameras, he said, and I quote, "He didn't earn it. He didn't come. That's in his contract." Those few words sent shockwaves through Cowboys Nation. The phrase "he didn't earn it" hit hard. It wasn't just a contractual explanation, it was a direct jab at Diggs' character and commitment, and it was clear Jerry was trying to send a message not just to Trevon, but to the entire locker room. And make no mistake, Jerry Jones doesn't just speak off the cuff. When he calls out a star player like that in public, it's calculated. He's trying to make a statement. But not everyone agrees with how he handled it. Fans are divided. Some say Jerry is holding his players accountable, reminding them that big contracts come with big responsibilities. Others think it was unnecessary and even disrespectful to publicly shame a player who's been rehabbing from a serious injury and still trying to work his way back to elite form. But the story doesn't stop there. Trevon Diggs didn't stay silent. Shortly after Jerry's comments went viral, Diggs responded via social media and in interviews, expressing his disappointment and making it clear that he felt blindsided. He said the team knew exactly where he was rehabbing. He claimed he had been in constant communication with the Cowboys staff and was following a plan laid out by trusted medical professionals. In his words, "They knew where I was. I was in full communication with the team and my therapist." He went on to say that the decision to dock his pay and the public nature of the criticism felt hurtful. And let's be honest, for a guy who's already dealing with the mental strain of rehabbing 2 straight injuries, that kind of public embarrassment probably cuts deeper than we realize. Diggs even said in one interview that the comment hurt his feelings, and while that may sound soft to some, it actually shows a lot of maturity. He wasn't shouting or firing back aggressively. He was open, honest, and disappointed. He said, "I didn't expect that. It kind of hurt my feelings. It's okay though. Hopefully I make it back in incentives." That's a classy response, but you can feel the tension bubbling underneath the surface. And the more you dig into it, the more complicated this situation becomes. Because yes, technically Jerry is within his rights to dock the pay. The clause is there. But the question is, should he have enforced it, and even more importantly, should he have blasted Diggs in public like that? Some insiders believe this move was less about money and more about setting the tone for the locker room. After another disappointing playoff exit, Jones might be trying to tighten the screws, send a message that even stars aren't above the rules. But here's the thing: when you create a culture of fear or public shame, it can backfire. Players may start to feel disposable, untrusted, or unsupported. That kind of vibe can spread through a locker room fast. And let's not forget, this is Trevon Diggs we're talking about. He's not a fringe player. He's a Pro Bowl level talent, a cornerstone of the defense. If the Cowboys lose his trust, or worse, lose his will to play hard for the star, it could have real consequences this season. And what happens if the relationship between Diggs and the front office fractures completely? Could we be looking at a potential trade scenario down the line? Would another team swoop in to offer Diggs a fresh start and a more supportive environment? These are not far-fetched questions. We've seen it happen before in Dallas and elsewhere. And here's another angle: what does this situation say about the Cowboys' approach to handling injuries? Are they putting too much pressure on players to rehab their way? Shouldn't a player be allowed to choose their rehab environment, especially if it's with world-class specialists? These are elite athletes, they're not machines. Every body heals differently. Sometimes being away from the media circus of Dallas and training in peace is what a player needs. Now, to be fair, Jerry has walked some of his comments back. In later interviews, he said he believes Diggs is now rehabbing the way we want him to and expressed confidence in his return. But the damage may already be done. That one sentence, "he didn't earn it, he didn't come," is going to follow this situation for a long time. It'll be brought up on talk shows, dissected on podcasts, and remembered by fans whether Diggs returns strong or not. And don't forget the timing. With the 2025 season approaching fast, and the Cowboys already dealing with roster pressure and rising expectations, the last thing they need is internal drama. But drama seems to follow this team, or maybe they create it themselves. Either way, all eyes will be on how Diggs performs this season. If he comes back strong, locks down receivers, and plays at a Pro Bowl level, Jerry will look harsh but right. If he struggles, gets re-injured, or seems out of sync, then this situation will look like the beginning of a longer unraveling. And what about the locker room? Other players are watching closely. If your owner can call you out publicly and take back $500,000 just like that, how does that make you feel as a teammate or future free agent? Does it build a culture of accountability, or does it create tension and fear? The Cowboys have long been criticized for underperforming in big moments. Maybe this is Jerry's way of trying to shake things up. But with Dak Prescott in a contract year, Micah Parsons seeking a mega extension, and the fanbase growing increasingly impatient, the last thing Dallas needs is infighting. Yet here we are, so the question now is simple: where do we go from here? Will Jerry and Diggs smooth things over behind the scenes? Will this all be forgotten once the regular season kicks off and Trevon is locking down WR1S again? Or is this just the beginning of a bigger problem, one that could end in a separation that would have been unthinkable a year ago? One thing's for sure: this is the Dallas Cowboys. Nothing is ever boring. Whether you love Jerry or can't stand him, whether you side with the player or the front office, this drama is going to define the narrative for this team heading into 2025. So keep your eyes on number 7, because how he responds, on and off the field, might just determine how far this team can go. And don't forget, this story is still developing. There's more to come. You can bet Jerry's not done talking and Diggs isn't done proving himself. The only question is, who's going to come out on top when the dust settles?